it is a shocker. I wouldn't say it's a surprise, because Sri Lanka is of course a good team, but in the manner in which Sri Lanka played, that is what has caught my attention, and I'm sure it's caught the attention of all you cricket fans. I'm coming to you live from Colombo, where the game happened. Wasn't too far away from where I am. It's about a 3-hour drive from here, Palakele. I've covered many games there, and that's where all the action unfolded. Not too far away from here, but I must tell you, I don't know if you can hear the ambient sound. There is a lot of music that I can hear. Maybe it might be tough for you to hear, but that music is that the party has just started here. I can see, even though this is a weekday, this is a Monday, I can see music being played on the beach right below me. I can hear another loud music coming out from the restaurants there as well. And guess what? I saw parts of this match when I was having my dinner with some local Sri Lankans, and it was like a food court, and there was a screen, and many people were packed around there, and every shot that Pathum Nissanka played, my God, that place erupted. So goosebumps is what I've experienced, even though India wasn't playing, but just to be around the locals witnessing that particular encounter. Absolutely incredible scenes. And what do I say? Pathum Nissanka, remember the name. I'm sure a lot of you might remember Pathum Nissanka. Indian fans will. I cannot forget the 100 that he got versus India at the Asia Cup in Dubai. I was there covering that tournament, and even though it came in a losing cause, even though that didn't help Sri Lanka even qualify for the final, but that was a knock, that people, especially in Indian fans, would have taken note of, and we always knew that he had that ability. And credit where credit is due to Delhi Capitals. They've been bang on with their auction strategy, and this time they've gotten two players that have done very, very well in the recent past. I know they picked Kyle Jamieson. He was doing very well versus India in that series leading up to the T20 World Cup. So, Kyle Jamieson had a good time, especially in the ODI format. He was very good. So 2 crores, I think Delhi Capitals bought him for 2 crores. That was a good buy. And guess what? They also got Pathum Nissanka at this auction, Delhi Capitals, for 4 crores. Absolutely outstanding by Delhi Capitals to be watching out for him. And I think that 100 that I was talking to you about at the Asia Cup may have gone a long way in trying to invest in Pathum Nissanka. So good job, Delhi Capitals, you've got him. This is going to be his debut IPL season. And one of the rare batters who's playing all formats. In today's day and age, as you realize, there are not too many all format batters that are available. Pathum Nissanka is one of those rare ones. He's got 100 in all formats now. He's got a T20 World Cup 100 as well. He's got an ODI 100. He's got a Test 100 as well. So plays all formats, opens in all format. Sometimes you have players who are playing all format but different position, opens in all format, plays all formats for Sri Lanka, and just look at his record. He's I think only the second Sri Lankan batter in T20 cricket to get about 2,500 runs. So he's already climbing up the ladder when it comes to Sri Lankan cricket. But take a look at his ODI as well as test numbers. I think he averages more than 50 in test match cricket and almost 50 in ODI cricket. So he is the man to watch out from. Comes from a country which has a rich tradition of good players, and I'm sure he can carry on that tradition. There was a dip in Sri Lankan cricket in the last few years. Maybe Pathum Nissanka could be that star that they've been craving for a very long time, after the Mahilas, the Sangakaras, the Jayasuryas, the Aravinda De Silvas. Maybe Pathum Nissanka is that guy. And boy, if you did not see this match, I suggest please see the highlights. It's not just 100, it was 100 of the highest quality. Some of those shots outrageous. Every part of the wicket, flicking it here over square leg for 6, making some room, hitting 4s, near deep point area, between third man, deep point, that particular area, straight down the ground, mid wicket, extra cover, just name it. Improvisation, some classical shots, whatever you could think of. At no point was he under any sort of pressure, or it looked like he was troubled against Australian players. So what a knock. Must check the highlights out if you haven't seen this game. But yeah, this game is of a lot of importance for India, and that's something, that I want to spend some time talking about. By the way, mighty Australian all but out of this particular tournament. What's the equation for them? I'll just let you know. Tomorrow is going to be a game, Zimbabwe Ireland. It's in the afternoon. If Zimbabwe win, it's tata bye bye for Australia. They're all but out now. They're all but out. They're not knocked out, but all but out. You can almost say knocked out. Why? Because not only first they'll have to hope for Zimbabwe to lose to Ireland first game, they would also have to hope for Zimbabwe then to lose to Sri Lanka. By the way, Sri Lanka have qualified. They've already qualified for Super 8s. They could even rest some of their players for that final game versus Zimbabwe. But Australia have to hope that Zimbabwe lose to first Ireland, which is going to be a tough ask anyway. Then they need to lose to Australia as well, and lose by big margins as well. And Australia have to beat Oman by a massive margin. So right now, Australia's net run rate is in 0.4 something. Zimbabwe is 1.9, almost 2. So there's a massive difference in that net run rate. So not only do they have to hope for Zimbabwe to lose both those games, they have to beat Oman by a big margin to go across Zimbabwe's net run rate. It's going to be a big ask, because see, Zimbabwe is already on 4 points. Australia at best can get to 4 points, and of course Zimbabwe have a chance to even get to 8 points, or even 6, as I said, is going to be good enough. So you could say that it's all but out. It's done and dusted for Australia. And you know what? Quite frankly, I know they didn't come with a great team. If you take a look at this Australian team, they stood no chance, and there's a reason why they lost to Australia. Look at that bowling lineup: Bartlett and Zampa, Maxwell, Stoinis. I don't think this is a bowling lineup that's going to trouble too many batting teams. Taking nothing away from what Zimbabwe did, taking nothing away from what at the moment Sri Lanka have done, but look at that bowling attack. No Cummins, and of course Stark doesn't play T20 cricket, but their number one bowler Hazelwood is out. In terms of their batting as well, you can clearly see that lack of experience. I don't think this Australian team was the kind of Australian team that you would want. Mitch Marsh injured, just makes a comeback. They've just gotten Steve Smith into the team as an injury replacement, but I think it's already too late. Maybe they should have thought of getting him, knowing the kind of conditions that they could encounter here. They could have gone for that. But also Maxwell, hot and cold most of the time. I know he got some runs here, still not the same player. I think they literally came here with one X factor, that was Travis Head. He had a good game today, but other than that, just look at that Australian team. Not quite the team that could have really mounted a challenge. But as I said, still Australia can be dangerous, and if they get knocked out, it's a big relief for other teams. Even sometime with a below par score, they can challenge. And as I said, this could be great news for India. And why do I say that? Because remember, India could have gone in the group of death in the Super 8s. That group of death could have looked like India, Australia, West Indies, as well as South Africa. To come from there, top 2 teams would have been very tough. Now with Australia out, most likely Zimbabwe going through, and then there's a West Indies, I think India can breathe slightly easy. I still maintain that even if all teams would have reached on current form, I would have put India favourites to come to the semi-final from their group. But it always helps if things are slightly easy. And at the moment, with Australia all but out, India could breathe a little easy going into that tournament. Today, I think it was also a good toss for Sri Lanka to win. There was a lot of dew. You saw that in Palakkale. There's been no dew here in Colombo, but in Palakkale there was dew. That, of course, rendered some of their bowlers helpless. The Australian bowlers, spinners really didn't come into play. Helped the Sri Lankan batters, but it was a good toss to win, and did the right thing. Chase it down. Good batting pitch, and Sri Lanka made most of it. So as I said, looks like India and rest of the teams can breathe a little easy when it comes to the tournament going forward. I'll try and take a couple of comments before I wind up my live stream. But boy, what a game we've just witnessed. Okay, Nabal Singh says, Nick sir, I listen to you every day, but yesterday's India Pak match point was brutal. The tweet against Mohammad Yusuf was brutal plus. Okay, so you're talking about the post-match video that I did. Yeah, a lot of people didn't get that sarcasm, because the title had I think India should shake hands with Pakistan. So some people trolled me as well, but they never actually saw the video. They didn't get the sarcasm that I had. But thank you, Naval, for your kind comments, and the tweet was also a genuine observation. Shivraj says, now India clear favourites to retain the title. Yeah, Shivraj, as I said, it does help India with no Australia, because even if they come with a Luli Langri team, as you can call, they can still be dangerous there on a given day, But I don't think it was only Australia that you need to worry about. You never know on a given day in the T20 format. We've seen a lot of upsets here. Sri Lanka is looking like a decent team. New Zealand on ICC tournaments always come up good. South Africa is also showing some decent form. I know they survived a scare versus Afghanistan, but Australia out of a T20 World Cup in the first stage of the tournament. When does that happen? योगेश सेज, मैं अभी भी बोल रहा हूँ पाकिस्तान ऑस्ट्रेलिया से जीता नहीं सीरीज, ऑस्ट्रेलिया खुद ही हारा है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया, that's the thing. Good point. I think that also gave Pakistan that confidence that we've knocked Australia out. But look at the Australian team that they actually beat Pakistan. So you can see them, they are knocked out of the first round of the World Cup. So that's exactly the under par team. Suresh says Australia bowling is very weak. Completely agree. Good question by Indranil saying, did Australia over romance the Ashes, cost their T20 World Cup? Could be. See, again, they always prioritize Test cricket. They always keep a focus on that. Dare I say, I was there at the WTC final versus India, which they won. They weren't even prioritizing that WTC final, which is an ICC trophy. They had an Ashes right after, they were focusing on that. But that's fine. That's their priority. It's up to them how they see white ball cricket. It's not to say they'd be happy being knocked out first round of a World Cup. But you're right. I mean, for them, Test cricket has always been number one priority, and they've tried to focus on that. But incredible game. Thanks so much for your company. As I said, now that game, Zimbabwe versus Ireland, that's going to gather a lot of interest as well. And Zimbabwe win. Australia, tata, bye bye. Take care, guys. Bye bye from Colombo.